Hi Liz.
Hi Chris.
So this is Liz Hnat, who's a senior project manager at Hive IT up at Park Hill, and you've been working not actually for that long because you've done 2 back-to-back short projects to reimagine how the Department of Education shares its data and makes statistics available about the education system in the UK. Is that fair?
Yeah, well, I don't need to do my introduction. Thanks, Chris.
Sorry.
No, it's fine, yeah. So Hive moved from the Electric Works over to Park Hill not that long ago. We're only a 5-year-old company, but we've grown from 3 employees to 20. And we've done 2 short projects with the DFE, like you said, both over 12 weeks, to look at how they disseminate their national statistics effectively. Thank you, thanks. The Department for Education have a statistics division, and they are one of the largest producers of statistics in the government department. So they gather all the school census data in, and they analyse it, and they produce reports on it, and they call those reports releases or publications, and they generate about 80 of those a year. Those releases and publications are a public asset, so they help monitor, they provide transparency about our education system, and they're there as a measure for how education is being handled within England specifically.
Right.
And at the moment, this graphic here is supposed to show that at the moment they produce those reports or those publications as a PDF. Some of those can be 40 pages long, and they also produce the underlying data that goes with that for people to consume, and that's done on .gov.uk at the moment.
Yeah, so I'm a school governor, and I'm sure there's other people that work in education here in the room, but they're quite familiar with trying to get usable information out of.
Yes, it's quite painful, and a bit later on I'll show you an example of one of those PDFs. Okay. So the Department for Education, move on. Yeah, the Department for Education understood that they didn't really know who their users were or whether they were meeting their needs, and we're a user-led development agency, and in government there is a drive to, or GDS, the Government Digital Standards, say that you should run projects in a specific way. So that's following this kind of process: discovery, alpha, beta, and live. So discovery is all about understanding who your users are, what they need, whether you're meeting their service needs effectively. And we were very lucky enough that we tendered for that project and won it, probably against 13 other applicants. And then, having completed that discovery, which we did over 12 weeks, we then took on the alpha and beta. Again, we had to tender for that, and that was 18 applicants that we won against. And the alpha is all about prototyping the service, so you understand your users' needs, and then you start to say, well, would this wireframe here meet your needs, and you kind of draw things out, and you go to the users directly and you talk to them about your ideas, and then you refine and you iterate, and at the same time you kind of undertake technical spikes to prove that the feasibility of what you're suggesting is actually achievable. Right,
okay, so you're going to implement the designs that you're coming up with in the prototype.
Yeah.
And so what are the prototypes like? Are they paper prototypes, or are they...
So we had lots of different variations. We had sketches that were all done on paper, then we had wireframes that are just basically digital drawings, and then that moved through, as we refined and iterated, into kind of HTML and CSS prototypes as well.
So something that looks close to the real thing, but without any finesse.
Correct. So there's not really, on the prototype that we developed, there's not really necessarily any technical functionality behind that prototype that was user tested, but at the same time we also had a functioning prototype that demonstrated the actual technical feasibility. So that had real data APIs, pulling data, the raw aggregated data through to the front end. So they were kind of working in tandem. Okay,
and I guess that not only gives you the ability to demonstrate that it's technically feasible to implement, but also gives you an idea of how much it will cost to implement, what the scope of the project is, and how much to tender for the beta if you win the beta.
Well, we actually did win the beta.
Wow.
So the DFE chose to do it in a really odd way. So you should tender for discovery, for alpha and for beta, but the DFE at the time put the tender out for alpha and beta combined. But unfortunately they just made a guess at how much it would cost. So during the alpha, we kind of went to them and said, yeah, you know, that money that you put aside, that's not enough. You're going to have to increase that budget. So there's been a lot of work to find the additional budget that's required for the beta phase, which is what we're now in.
Right. So you've won the alpha and the beta as one after having done the discovery.
Yes, that's right.
And during the alpha, convinced the department or explained to the department how much it's actually going to cost to implement.
Yeah.
What needs to be done.
Yes, exactly.
Good.
Thanks.
Okay, so you're now starting on the beta. Well, how big is the beta project? What's the
I mean, I suppose I should say that during this phase, you have to go through what's called a GDS assessment at each stage, and the GDS assessment is quite foreboding. You have to meet 18 service standard criteria. It was a 2-hour presentation. We had 4 assessors in the room, and it's unusual to pass your alpha assessment first time, especially within the DFE, and we achieved that, and we're really, really proud of it. We wouldn't have been able to move to beta had we not passed that assessment. We also completed it in almost a record time, so 12 weeks for an alpha is an incredibly short period, especially in government departments, to complete an alpha. So yes, I am bigging us up. The beta is planned to be 5 months, so again, working at kind of the agile principles, you know, deliver as fast as you can. The government service, within the government departments, there's a real drive to engage with external agencies because there's a recognition that we provide value for money and we deliver speedily. And it's not wrong to say that in government departments they do work fairly slowly. So they recognise that by engaging external agencies, they will get a quicker return on investment.
Right. And if you can demonstrate that, then they'll trust you when you turn around and say they actually have to spend some more money than they anticipated.
They've been incredibly interesting, actually. Yeah, they've been really good.
Great. Okay, so this is your process.
Yeah, so this is really specific to our alpha, and what I just wanted to kind of demonstrate here is I know that perhaps a lot of people in the room don't understand kind of user-led development or discoveries, alpha and beta, so I just wanted to kind of demonstrate the process that we went through. So on your right-hand side, your left-hand side, the picture over there is us holding a workshop. So we engage directly with users, we talk to the people that are intending to be using the service, and effectively we get them to draw their ideas out for us. So that's the first starting point of what they expect the system to do. And then we take that and create the wireframes, which are the second section, and then we user test them and generate a lot of post-it notes about what worked and what didn't, and then we move into kind of the HTML and CSS prototyping, and that we then go round and round and round, and we test and we iterate and we test and we iterate until we get to a point where we feel that we're just picking up niggly things at this point, that we're really confident that what we've proposed is actually viable. And that's the kind of process that we move through alongside the technical spikes that are supporting that that ideas generation effectively.
You test that with the real users?
Yes, absolutely.
Not just designers imagining what?
No. So we know that the DFE for this service have 4 very specific user types, and we've engaged directly with them, either face-to-face user testing, through contextual interviews, through remote user testing, and through unmoderated testing. So many different variances of how we've engaged with them. But yeah, so in the discovery we engaged with something like 125 people over 12 weeks, and in alpha it was 56. You would expect it to drop because it's much more specific testing, right. But 56 is still quite a substantial amount to test over 12 weeks.
And then you've got a video showing what
I do, so yeah, so excuse the videos that are not as refined as Side by Side and Chris's. So especially this one that has like 1 million tabs open at the top. But what this is showing you is a publication in his existing service. So you can see that this publication has a ream of documents associated to it, and it's not particularly accessible. This is one of the PDFs. And what this is a real cognitive overload for people. So for the general public, certainly I class myself as kind of a layperson, I'm already put off at trying to engage with these statistics because I just see words and graphs and I'm just so totally put off. And this PDF actually, look, now you've reached the contents, was 29 pages long. And that's one of those many documents that you can see in that publication. So on this video, this is the prototype that we've created. So this is effectively the same PDF, but online. So it's much less of an initial cognitive overload. for those people that are, say, perhaps parents or governors, the information that we expect to be most key to them is given up front. The other thing about this is that we've tested this with people who have screen reader use or accessibility needs. And what we do is we put the data that's most accessible up front. So in this example, you can see that data tables come before charts because charts are quite hard for screen readers to use.
So that's the blind and visually impaired thing.
Yes, that's right. And then also we have interactive charts and maps. So this is showing, so we have more expert users, local authorities want to compare themselves to their surrounding geographical areas, which this map allows them to do without them having to go and download the actual underlying data and mangle it through Excel effectively. And then the other thing that the prototype does is allow people to create their own, what we call cuts of data. So instead of having to download the Excel spreadsheet, understand how an Excel spreadsheet works, apply formulas, etc., we've created this quite simple interface, which I know looks like it's got a lot of selections, but this is as simple as we could make it. And what you can do is interrogate the data in self-serve without having to have any kind of statistical knowledge. So it's much more about making these statistics available to everybody, not just people that are expert statistical analyses people, basically.
So people like journalists.
Journalists. What the DFE have to be really careful of is that they're very clear about how those statistics have been arrived at, so that journalists can't go and misinterpret them. The other thing is that a lot of policy is made based on these statistics. So ministers and policy officials use the statistics to inform the policies that they're putting forward. So again, the DFE have to be very impartial and very clear about the information that they're giving, so that it can't be misinterpreted and be blamed for influencing certain policies.
So your last slide is about the impact.
Yeah, so we truly believe that these statistics are for everyone, and at the moment that's not the case because you can't necessarily understand and access them. So here we are, the helicopter is us, that's a little Hive IT up there, and that blackboard represents the statistics. Sorry, I keep forgetting it's here. And the work that we're doing to make it available to everybody. So then it's going to, you see, at the end of beta, it will drop into that globe that is the world, the box of the world.
So it's a gift.
Yes, it is a gift to everybody.
Our education system better.
And I mean, do you know what? Actually, we should be wielding those statistics, their as, to use as we see fit. And you probably won't see the impact of the alpha in the alpha because nobody sees that necessarily. The impact will come in that beta and the full service development, at which point we should hopefully see that more people start to engage and understand those statistics from a wide range of users.
Well, that's great. It strengthens democracy and it's a brilliant win story for a small Sheffield company.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Give it up for